everybody, welcome back to, I think what the feedback from the first sort of, I guess, conversation that we had together, that where we thought it should be fireside chat, but everybody thought afterwards tea time at the Manor, and I really like that.
Well, I think fireside chat had some problems. The first problem was, of course, that there were political connotations for some people, but secondly, you need a fireplace, and we're in the kitchen.
Yeah, today we're in the kitchen. And the reason we're in the kitchen because there are tours going on in the house right now as we are open to the public and we can't use that room.
Well, that's true. And so whilst behind us is the range of the house. I don't know if you can see this wonderful Arga that we've got. Obviously, that would have had an enormous fire at one point. So this could have been
Tudor times.
Fireside chat, but I think we now call it Arga-side chat.
No, it's tea time at the Manor. I've got my tea. Chat? I've got my feel new tea. So
you've got your feel new tea. Are you feeling new?
I'm feeling. Well, I'm drinking hot tea, everybody, because it's still, even though when we're filming this, it's the middle of July. It's still really cold. So I came down from London this morning on the train with fingerless gloves on. Kid you not.
Well, that is because we seem to be having an eternal winter here at Mapperton. It is cold, it is wet, but I've just heard that actually, as of right now, the sun is coming out and it's not going to go in again for at least 2 weeks.
I mean, but how ridiculous. I mean, no, I don't believe it. And it's a bit ridiculous that we're already mid-July and we have barely seen the sun. And I've been wearing fingerless gloves, I think almost every single day this summer, apart from maybe like two.
Yeah, I think it's quite a small violin because
it's a big one.
We're inside, we're warm.
It's a big violin. That's why I have hot tea.
It's a big violin for Julie. Anyway, in today's programme,
exactly.
What are we going to be covering?
In today's tea time at the Manor. So exciting. Well, as I mentioned, I have just come down from London. So I've just come down from London, and that's because I've been away filming for our sister channel, American Viscountess.
So we're going to talk about filming. Okay, that's one thing. Your filming schedule, which is quite intense, if I can put it like that.
Yep. And
particularly this time of year.
Yeah, I leave to film again
You're going
tomorrow.
to give an update on the filming.
Yeah.
On the exhibition, on the Alberta exhibition. There's an update coming from
Yeah, and what
Julie.
just happened before we started filming is amazing.
And what just happened.
Amazing.
And
dissertation.
I'm going to be talking a bit about latest developments on nature recovery for Mapperton and some of the exciting things that I've been doing. Julie, you're going to talk about your dissertation. And
then what I'm doing down here is, of course, another renovation project, the 18th century farmhouse.
Yeah, and that is not completely straightforward, is it, as a project?
That is
no.
Well, are they ever down here?
I think they are. Now, if you see me touching this screen over here sometimes, it's because we are filming everything ourselves.
And you're editing while we're filming.
And we are editing while we're filming. I am what's called a vision mixer, which means that I can go from here to here, and I can change the camera angles so that you have more variety in your shots.
Yeah.
So it's not just boring, the two of us looking at one camera.
I think it's,
But it may mean that sometimes I'm poking here and you're wondering what's going on.
What's he
doing? I'll try not to do that. Right, let's kick off with you and filming schedule. Can I just say before Julie does this that...
Oh dear, here it comes.
Get ready to be exhausted because her schedule is not something that anybody would envy. I mean, she is... I don't even know where she's going to be on any given day.
Tomorrow? Do you know where I'm going tomorrow?
I don't know where you're going tomorrow. All I know is I've got this app on my phone and it vaguely tracks where she is. And I just look at it at any one time and I go, oh, she's 700 miles away that way. Oh, no, she's 50 miles away that way. And occasionally you come closer. But
yes.
But yeah, and before we talk about where you're going, we should just mention where we've just been, which is, of course, wonderful Scotland, where we have been for the weekend celebrating our son Jack's graduation from Edinburgh University, and that was really quite something. Scotland was looking beautiful. It rained constantly while we were there.
Well, no. The day we arrived, it was beautiful sunshine. The day we left, it was beautiful sunshine. But the day of the graduation, it was grey and rain.
And the graduation was in the very grandiose Victorian hall, which is called McEwen's Hall.
That's right.
And it was built by a chap called McEwen in, I think, the 1870s, something like that.
1870s, 1880s, I think, yeah.
And he was a brewer, so I thought it was very fitting that the main hall at Edinburgh University is built out of beer money, and I think the students probably liked that. Keep it going, don't they?
But there were bagpipers. It was amazing. So when they were entering, those who were sort of, I guess the many of the dons or the professors or whatever they're called these days.
They were piped in.
Yeah, it was so brilliant. And they called out each and every name.
Each and every name, all.
And we got to clap after each and every name. I thought that was fantastic.
That was about 500 claps. By the end of it, it was sort of slowing down slightly. But luckily, Jack with M
was in the middle.
Was somewhere in the middle. Anyway, let's move on to your filming. Where have you been? Can you update me?
Yeah. So, and this is really nice for us, by the way, to have these chats with you all because we do update each other. I know I'm definitely going to learn something new that's been happening down here from Luke and vice versa. So thing about filming for American Viscountess at these wonderful castles, manors, and stately homes is that many of the custodians, and quite right, would like us to film when their gardens and the estates are looking bright and beautiful. Now, it hasn't been the best weather this summer, but in times past, you kind of want to get there when the roses are out or the wisteria's out, the clematis, whatever it is. So that means that our summers are jam-packed. So we have recently been up in Scotland prior to Jack's graduation, where we were filming at Dabton House, Stirling Castle, that is the home of Mary Queen of Scots, and Inverara Castle. So for all of you Campbells, I think there's like 30 million Campbells around the world. We were filming with the Duke and Duchess of Argyll, Eleanor and Torquil Campbell, and we were at Inverara Castle for 3 days. We actually, to be fair, we had brilliant weather in Scotland. Then we come back down.
Wait, before you come down. Did you drink any whiskey?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm filming.
You have a wee dram.
I didn't have a wee dram. Oh, none of us had wee drams.
No wee drams.
No, we're too busy. We film like 12 to 13-hour days.
Okay.
By the time we
haggis? Did you eat any haggis?
No.
Okay.
No.
Highland Games? Did you go into?
No, I filmed that before, so we didn't do Highland Games. But we did go out on the estate. We went way out on the estate with one of their gamekeepers, and we had a picnic.
You had a picnic?
Yeah.
A Highland picnic?
Yeah, and on this extraordinary sort of off-road vehicle. I've never seen anything quite like it before. It was bigger and better than a mule.
Was it an Argo Cat? Did it have like 6 wheels?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are super cool. And you drive them like a tank. They've got these 2 levers.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
So,
and come on, give us some little juicy tidbits from your shoot. What was exciting?
Well, seeing the estate, I mean, it's just beautiful. The heather wasn't out quite yet, and this was in June, so this was just recently, end of June, and the heather wasn't out quite yet, but we had such beautiful weather. We were, incredibly lucky. I think for me, it was sitting down and talking with Torquil and Eleanor just about they've been, and they're young. Well, they're our age, so, I consider that young. They've been running the estate for 23 years.
They must be
exhausted. 4 times longer than we have.
They must
so
be totally
that
shattered.
was kind of my takeaway from that was, wow, and what they've done there is outstanding. So, but highlight, of course, I love a good shop. Eleanor has done an amazing job with their shop there. Yeah. It's incredible. So I thought that was quite exciting.
Lots of Campbell branded goods.
Lots of Campbell branded goods.
Did you bring any back?
Yeah, I brought a magnet, and I always get a magnet and a guidebook. If you're wondering what I always purchase at these places when I film, Victoria, our series producer, and I, we always walk away with a magnet. Victoria's usually sent the guidebook beforehand to do research on, and then I'll get a guidebook when I get there. I got a tea towel this time as well. Don't I have it here? No.
No. What about a Campbell box of chocolates for me?
No, I didn't.
No. Oh. What about a Campbell single malt bottle of whiskey for me?
We don't drink, so that would have been...
That's true.
No. But Torquil does, from his woodworking workshop shed, he makes like cheese boards from it. Yeah, he does.
Cheese board, then?
No, but I didn't.
Okay, she
really
goes to all these fantastic places.
Wait, I've got to go down the country now.
Fantastic gifts, and I don't get anything.
No, you do. You get a magnet.
Right.
So then heading down, because I'm one of the judges for Historic Houses, which is the association that we're members of, and you can become an individual member as well, but we're what are called house members. And they help to lobby for historic houses and for the future of historic houses. And they do lots of awards every year. They do Garden of the Year, which is sponsored by Christie's. We won that in 2020. They do is it a Renovation Award or is it Restoration Award?
No.
And
Collections Award.
And they do a Collections Award, which is sponsored by the auction house Druitt. And Druitt asked me to be a judge. So I'm one of 5 judges, and we were able to shortlist. So basically you enter as a historic house a collection that you think is worthy of winning the award. And then I was able to shortlist it along with my other fellow judges down to 6. And then Druitt asked me and the team me, Victoria, and the cameraman, to film at these and to create a wonderful Collections Award film. So we've been also, on top of our American Viscountess schedule, we've been filming, but at other historic houses. So we've been filming at Watston Manor, the home of the Rothschilds. We have filmed at an amazing house in Hertfordshire, I should say. Hertfordshire, there we go.
Herefordshire.
No, it's Hertfordshire, okay. Sorry. Hertfordshire, called, is Hertfordshire super close to Northamptonshire, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's on the border of Northamptonshire because it's close to Hinchingbrook, and it's called the Manor at Hemmingford Grey. We're also filming at Burton Constable, Birdsall House, Abbotsford, that's where I was last week, and I'm going to Grimsthorpe Castle tomorrow. And then we've also just come back from Raby Castle in County Durham. That was outstanding. Could be possibly, can I have favorites? I don't think I can.
No,
That's
you can't
probably
have favorites.
no, but I really enjoyed it, loved it.
Give us a little.
Raby was amazing.
Yeah, so what happened at Raby?
Raby was incredible.
What happened? Tell us.
Oh my gosh, like I want to go back.
Yeah.
It's so Raby, so that is where Lord and Lady Barnard are, Kate and Harry, and they have been running Raby for a little bit longer than we have, 8 years. And 1 year after they took over, they decided to put in a big investment where they created this incredible, they call the space the Rising, but this outstanding restaurant with all glass windows. They terraced up, so the restaurant sort of terraced up, and then you have the most spectacular views of the castle. I've never been to a historic house where the restaurant has been perched up, so you have this view.
So you can see the view.
Unbelievable. And then they have a whole visitor center, but everything's digital, so you can check in digitally on iPads. There's one person there helping you. The gardens, they got in Luciano, and I can't remember his last name. He's a famous landscape designer. To recreate the gardens within the walled gardens, about 5.5 acres, outstanding. And then they have outbuildings, and the outbuildings, they had the coach house, which they've created into this wonderful, beautifully curated shop. And then they did something that was like a interpretation of the area around them. It was unbelievable. And then 2 other big event spaces. The riding school, they've converted into an event space, and another space. It was unbelievable.
So again, what was the most fun thing that you did?
Oh
there?
Gosh, I did so many fun
things. What did you take away from Raby of things that we could be doing here? So
the most fun thing was, of course, going to. I mean, they don't even know how many fireplaces they have. They don't even know how many staircases they have. I mean, I'm sure they do if I really questioned them, but was going into the upstairs, downstairs. Unbelievable to see, the old kind of servants' quarters where his parents lived, where his grandparents lived, which hasn't been touched. His grandparents, literally when I walked in there, it smelled like it smelled of smoke because they were.
Raby sounds so vast.
It's amazing. It's so vast.
That you've got a different place for where their parents live, from where their grandparents live, and from where they live.
So they live. They very much are a part of the castle, but the restoration and stuff that they were doing, they just live outside, not outside, but
whilst they're still doing works. And what about insights from Raby or indeed from Inverara on things we could do at Mapperton? I mean, one of the things that has to be said about these places is that they are on a different scale to Mapperton. They are much bigger houses and castles, much bigger estates. Yeah. And also, in most cases, much closer to lots of other cities and towns, so there's just more population. But Raby, interestingly enough, isn't that close. No. And therefore, it probably has some of the same challenges that we have in getting visitors. What were some of their techniques for encouraging people to come? What are they really good at?
They invest in a lot of marketing.
A lot of marketing. Yeah.
Marketing. So, for example, Kate had, when they opened up the Rising, that's kind of what the project's called. Kate, somebody organized it, obviously. She didn't reach out to all of them, but their marketing person reached out to 25 influencers, and then she hosted them, and within the big cafe. And they were then, of course, doing their reels and their posts, and that's just one of the many things they do. But I mean, it was every day I was there, which was 3 days. It's a restaurant. Right. Every table was booked, and it had lots of tables. It was heaving.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that we think very hard about at Mapperton, because we're such a small outfit. We only have 15,000 visitors a year, and with those few visitors, doesn't generate enough income to have all of the things that you might associate with a larger historic house. So we don't have a marketing department, or at least we do, and it's sitting next to me here. That's Julie. We don't have some of the kind of customer service teams. We don't have the full-on shop and visitor centre that other places have. So I'm always interested in how other places do this, but I also have to bear in mind just the scale. If you've got 100,000 visitors, it gives you the budget to be able to do a lot of these things. Or obviously, in our case, we could be investing more in marketing, but it's a lot of risk, because we could put a lot of money into marketing and find that it's still just very hard to get people to come here.
Yeah. And I think that is the big difference. It's just to get to Raby, yes, it's sort of similar to us because it's a bit remote, but it wasn't like those teeny tiny windy roads to get to us where you're on for quite a bit. Exactly. It was pretty much beautiful straight road with a few curves, don't get me wrong, a few bends, but proper road, and boom, you've arrived. So I think that's the big difference. So I think for me, the takeaway was, I guess, we've got the gardens, and I think for them, the takeaway was they were really much marketing outside the castle walls. Of course, at the same time, they're marketing coming in and visiting Raby because it's so vast and wonderful. But for people who just want a great day out without having to go through that paywall of paying the ticket to get into the castle, they have done an outstanding job. They have the restaurant, they have a proper shop, they did this wonderful interpretation, and they have the gardens. And we have that here with the rewilding, the gardens, and it kind of got me thinking. Do they have
any play areas for kids?
So they built a huge play area.
Yeah, because
that's ticketed.
Again, so often if you're trying to attract families, you've simply got to have enough for the children to do. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we have invested in here at Mapperton. We do now have these 2 play areas. They're not huge. They haven't got elaborate kind of tree walks, and they haven't got big pirate ships and all of that. But we do have the Lost Village of Mapperton, And if anybody here is watching and you're with your children and you're anywhere near Dorset in the summer, you know, this is a good day out. And the key thing that we've added this year, which we really hope, which comes to your point, Julie, because I thought it was so interesting to hear that their focus now is not just on getting people to come to the castle, it's to the wider estate.
It is, 100%.
It's the things that are happening outside of the house. And that's what we're doing too. And so, as regular viewers of this channel will know, we have launched something called self-guided rewilding, which means that you can get your ticket at Mapperton for the house and gardens, but you can also get a ticket to go with your family on a route with some interpretation. So we give you a nice booklet and there's places that you can stop and look at the views. And that can all form part of a full day. You know, being able to offer the full day, I think, is part of what's so important.
Exactly, and that's exactly what they offer. And so that is my takeaway. And also outside, of course, the restaurant is huge, and ours is lovely, but it's considered, you know, a cafe. But they did have a permanent sort of, you know, trailer stand there that was serving ice cream. You could get coffees and ice cream
outside. Was it a cafe or a restaurant? The main thing.
I mean, it's a restaurant.
Well, yeah, but it was table service, was it?
No. Oh, sorry. So I should take that away.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a cafe. So you queue up, you grab your tray, and there's all these beautiful salads and sandwiches, amazing food.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it right. And then you get sort of served behind the glass, and then but they are creating within the paid wall, which is if you want to get a ticket to the gardens and the house, or even just the gardens, they are eventually, that's sort of whatever phase they're on right now. They will do they have the structure, it's there, they've built it, and it will be table service within, so it will be a little bit higher end. And teas, you know what I mean, high tea.
Well, Raby sounds absolutely wonderful.
Wonderful.
It'd be lovely to go and see.
Wonderful.
Where are you going next?
Oh, it was wonderful. And Kate and Harry were incredible. So tomorrow I leave for Grimsthorpe, which is really quite far up north, Grimsthorpe Castle. And that's as part of the Collections Award that we're filming with the curator there. But we're also going to be making a longer episode just for AV, for American Viscountess.
What are you looking at within the collection at Grimsthorpe?
Well, I can't give that away yet.
Oh, she can't give that away. Okay.
So I can't give that away
I
yet.
tried to get it out of
Sorry,
her. For
not
you
allowed.
guys to have a sneak preview.
Not allowed.
So we can't talk about
that. No,
okay.
And then we're also filming at Dean Park, which I have filmed before at AV, but we're filming one of they were shortlisted for the Collections Award. And we're actually spending the night at Dean Park. With Charlotte Brudnell.
Again?
Yeah, we're taking her out to a pub dinner tomorrow night. She's so lovely.
Very generous.
These custodians, these homeowners are just lovely. And then next week...
But it's also because you're quite a fun person to have to stay.
Well, I don't know if I'm that fun, but hopefully.
Yeah.
And then next week we're at Summer Leighton in Suffolk.
Summer Leighton, wow, that's going to be fun as well.
Yeah.
And they're doing some extraordinary things and are heavily involved in nature recovery, which of course is one of the big strands of activity here at Mapperton. And guess where I've been this morning?
Well, I was on a train down here. Where were you?
By the way, again, Julie's schedule, it's crazy. She's got on a train, she's come down here. She's doing 3 hours at Mapperton, and then she's getting on another train to go back again because you're going to the Historic Houses summer party.
One of us has to go.
Westminster Abbey.
Westminster Abbey, everybody. So I'm going to try to film for as much as I can. I won't be able to film the party itself, but I just thought it'd be nice getting behind the scenes, entering as much as I can into Westminster Abbey.
And by the way, I've already been pinged by a couple of people wondering if we're going to be there. And I said, you're going, and they're fine with that, because actually you're the one they want to see.
It's not true. I'm sad you can't.
I've been thinking of sneaking in the car and driving down.
Yeah, and it's sunny in London. And
it
yesterday
is kind of sunny. Yeah.
Torrential rain.
Anyway, this morning, Nestor and I went out and we met with Tom Gregory. Lovely Tom Gregory.
Tom and Sophie.
Married to Sophie. And these farmers are the absolute pioneers of regenerative farming, not just in Dorset. They're famous nationally and now really internationally. Sophie is what's called a Nuffield Scholar, which means that she gets a scholarship to go round the world and meet with the movers and shakers in the farming industry and learn about different practices and bring all of that knowledge back and share it. And it's just amazing. And I saw Sophie briefly today. She's such a celebrity that it's very hard to get. And guess what? I said, Sophie, we haven't filmed with you for ages and you've got a fan base out there. And she said, yeah, I'm really keen on filming.
Oh, good.
And I said, well, are we going to talk about farming? And she said, no, I don't want to talk about farming. I want to do handstands in the field with Julie and some cows.
Okay.
So I
okay,
said,
we'll do that. I'd love that.
Would you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, as long as the cows are quite far away.
As long as the cows, well, they could be behind barbed wire, I guess, couldn't they?
They could be,
Or they could be
but that would kind of ruin the shot.
The smaller bullocks or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, handstands in a field with Julie and Sophie coming.
All right, who wants that? Comment down below. Let us know if you want
soon.
Sophie and I to do handstands together. I'm up for it. My handstands are quite good.
Do you think handstands though on soil is harder because you haven't got the...
No, because you can grip. And I have been really pleased. I do lots of yoga, everybody, even though I don't have a lot of time. But I have to say this year, I think my handstands are the best they've ever been.
Are they really?
I could just hold them forever.
Yeah. Well, is it going to be a competition then?
I don't like competitions.
Sophie thinks her handstands are pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, then maybe it will be.
Anyway, we were out with Tom today because we were looking at the base of life, the soil, and the wonderful things that Tom has been doing at Mapperton to help regenerate the soil. And that means digging, that means pulling apart kind of clumps of earth, that means looking at all of the wonderful things that are in there, including obviously 1 or 2 worms, and that means learning about why soil is the kind of start of everything. It's, it's where we all come from, it's where all our food comes from, or at least most of our food. I guess there are fish as well, and they don't come from soil.
Yeah.
But on land,
yes.
That's how we grow our crops. And it's so important that we nurture our soil, having done quite a lot of harm to it over previous decades. And Tom and Sophie are at the forefront of that. And in particular, what's called regenerative dairy farming. They've got big dairy herd producing lots of delicious organic milk. And of course, they have to feed their cattle. And so what we were talking about today was the way in which they are nurturing the soil so that they can grow the right grass species, the right herb species to feed the cows, so that the cows both produce delicious milk, but are also healthy. Different herbs do different things. You can have herbs that have therapeutic effects for cows, anti-worming herbs. It's so clever.
That is so clever.
Anyway, I hope you'll look out.
Trust nature.
Look
That's
out
what it is.
for that episode. And Nestor was there as well, because Nestor's actually doing some research on this very subject himself. He's got to write a paper as part of his year on soil health.
That's right. We're not empty nesters yet. Still one in school.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fascinating.
And then last night, I went to another extraordinary event, which is the monthly meeting that we have of what's called the steering group for our landscape recovery project. And this is the project that brings together 53 farmers and landowners around Mapperton and including Mapperton to work together to restore nature in our catchment. And it's brilliant because these are farmers who all know each other, they socialise together, they play skittles, but they haven't really worked together. And so everybody's got this kind of shared purpose and lots of energy and enthusiasm. We've got 2 years to build a plan that is going to last 20 to 30 years to restore nature at scale around the catchment, with Mapperton at the centre. And that's just about the most exciting thing that we could be involved in. And we're very lucky in this country, actually, because government is prepared to fund that. So it'll pay for things like lots of tree planting. It'll pay for the creation of what we call wood pasture, which is a mix of trees and scrub and pasture. It'll help us restore species-rich grasslands, and then in particular to build things like new wetlands, because we need more wetted areas for all of our wildlife, in particular our bird species. And yesterday we had a meeting about exactly that, and it was so interesting because there are two really important things that we can do at Mapperton that we haven't done so far.
Right.
One of them is to restore Witherston Marsh.
So explain what Witherston Marsh is. So it's part
Witherston,
of the estate.
Witherston is a wood, and
the estate.
And it used to be a marshland, but over time, more and more trees were planted, and it stopped being a marsh. Which means when it stops being a marsh, it stops being a wetland.
Exactly.
And whilst obviously woodland is really important, wetland in many respects is more important because we have even less of it. And so we've been conjuring up an idea for how we can actually restore the marshland, which might involve actually clearing some trees that are relatively recent trees, so it's not an ancient woodland, because the trees, if you allow the trees to grow, they just suck up all the water and it stops being a marshland. So clearing out the trees is one thing. And then the other big idea, which I think will be fabulous, would be to create what's called a seasonal pond on the Gallops. So the Gallops is the big field in front of the house.
So and one thing I do want to point out is, especially as an American, when I came here, and I just thought this place was just called Mapperton Estate, but within the estate,
we've got all these different sections of land
that are named.
The fields have names, the farms have names. It's all quite confusing.
Exactly.
But this is one of the big fields close to the house, and the idea might be to create something as big as a 2-hectare, 4-acre pond. We've got very few ponds and lakes at Mapperton.
Yeah, that's true.
And all we'd need to do is dig it out, possibly line it with some clay, and create a bank at one end so that it's actually a pond. And then because we get so much rainfall these days, in the winter it would just fill up. At the moment when that field, and you'll have seen this in previous episodes, when that field gets full, the water just floods off it and goes down to our neighbours and causes real problems. So if we can create a pond, it'll retain that water. So these are two really exciting projects that we hopefully will be able to get off the ground soon at Mapperton. And of course, we're also going to be building a new pond for the beavers. So before we bring our beavers back, we are recreating and bolstering the existing pond so that all the water doesn't flow down, destroy the grill.
And then they escape again.
And then they escape again. That is another project that is underway.
See, I get updated. I didn't know any of that.
You didn't know any of that?
I knew about the beavers. I definitely knew about the beavers.
One thing we both know about, though, is the road at Mapperton, which, oh my goodness, I've just had a communication from the council saying that...
If you haven't watched that video, we've got a road that's basically imploded, and there are...
Well, it hasn't imploded. There's been a landslip, and so the road is collapsing, and they say that it's going to be at least a year.
What?
At least a year, yeah.
So what does that do to my 18th century
farmhouse renovation project? Yeah, well, it may mean that you actually can't get to the farmhouse, because if it's going to take a year, the reason for that, by the way, is that they can't start work now until the dry season. Obviously, you'd think the dry season was now. Well, it is, but they haven't got time. And then we're going to hit the winter again, and then they won't be able to start until April, May of next year. And of course, if we have another wet winter, that road is just going to go, at which point we'll have no access. So this is, I mean, we joke about these things a bit, but it is really serious.
No, it is serious.
Because it might mean that that house is just completely cut off, and we can't get to it. We can't do the renovation. And it's just, anyway, it's
I think we might have to do a whole video on that.
It's so frustrating. But having said that, I actually think if we can get to it sooner, if we can get to it in September, October, and do the works then, at least it'll be ready. So Julie, by the way, in among all of the things that she's doing, the dissertation, the filming, the Mapperton marketing.
Yeah, and also I can announce, but I can't say what the publisher is or the title, but I do have a book deal.
And the new book deal.
So I have a new book deal about Mapperton, that's all I can say.
Do you think maybe this list is too long? I'd be really interested to know whether people think that maybe Julie notice that she's cutting me off at this point. Whether Julie takes on maybe a bit too much.
Okay. Listen, it's really exciting, everybody, because of course, I need to get my dissertation done. 25,000 words.
I gotta go.
Oh,
I'm late for a meeting.
Oh, okay.
Am I leaving you? You can carry on.
Yeah. How do I hit off? Not now, everybody. I'm not going to head off yet.
I think you press the red button.
Okay.
But remember to change the image, otherwise it'll just be a boring.
Grab me that baseball cap because that's the other thing I want to talk about.
I'm going to say goodbye to everybody because I've got to get onto another meeting. So it's been lovely chatting. And,
this
I'll
is
see you
quite
later.
busy. That cap, though. Can you grab me the cap? Hold on, everybody. This is great. It's just me and you. I'll only take up like 10 more minutes of your time. By the way, these are our new baseball caps. We have finally a brand new Mapperton shop, which is fantastic with our new logo that you can see here. And there's lots of things on there. I mean, everything from socks to beach towels to, I think there's even flip-flops on there, to baseball caps, to sweatshirts. Gosh, I think there's about 35 items on there. So do check it out. Details in the description down below. And there's also a discount code as well. So, and it means we don't have to, we have, I guess, a physical shop here in the Coach House Cafe, but it doesn't have near of what we have on there, or on our online shop. Site, and shipping things out, it's just super expensive. And so we finally, super expensive for you and also for us, just to, you have to put customs forms on it, and it just takes a long time because many of you are wanting to purchase from the US. So we found this amazing distributor and we're so pleased. So do check it out. They're really good baseball caps, and everything else on there is fantastic. I've ordered some samples as well, so we'll be showcasing those. So going back to my book deal, yes. So I've kept that quite quiet. It's been percolating for about a year. And to be honest with you, everybody, I was approached by quite a big publisher. I can't name the publisher yet, but when I do name the publisher, I think you'll all recognize the name. I was really quite shy about it, and as in I'm not really, don't want to talk about a book right now, and yeah, I've got other things I need to do. And the senior commissioning editor was fantastic, and she just kind of kept on me, but not so much to disturb me, but just sort of kept knocking on the door. And so summary was written, table of contents, and lo and behold, how commissions work is they go to the big team, and they went to the big team in London and the big team in New York, and both teams said yes. And I was sort of taken aback because I was like, how am I going to fit this in? But it's all really exciting. So, and it gives me time. So it's coming out in 2026. I have a year to write it. I'm so happy, which is great. And it's a coffee table book, a kind of a coffee table book, but not as like enormous, but it's a coffee table, but a good sized book. It'll have 300 photos in it and 50,000 words. That's after I write my 25,000 word dissertation, which is going. It's happening. I was working on it today on the train, and I had a meeting with my course tutor yesterday. So I'm on the path, and I just want to give a shout out to my daughter, who got a first in her dissertation when she was at University of Edinburgh. She did it on, she probably doesn't want me to tell you what she did it on. So I will, only because I think sometimes dissertations are quite private. But she helped me structure it. So that was great. And yeah, so that's kind of what's happening in my life right now. And then going back to Coatley, the farmhouse, because we're in the middle of the season here at Mapperton, we're both so busy. I'm filming at historic houses, as you heard. And then August will hopefully be a time for us just to take a little bit of time off. August is like the European holiday. Everybody takes off time in August. So we'll be taking 2 weeks off in August and to have a nice holiday. And then when we come back, I will start the renovation of the farmhouse. And many of you commented on the carpets that were on the first floor in all the bedrooms. And then when I was pulling them out, there was obviously timber floors underneath. Some of them were mix and match and planks, and you guys were great because you're saying it doesn't matter if they're mix and match planks, it doesn't matter, it adds to the character. So I will be stripping all of those carpets and we will be staining them, not painting them. So if you noticed from that video, when you walked up the stairs, there were already sort of, you know, just a dark oak staircase, and that's the color that I will stain the rest of the bedrooms. And then I will put, of course, a rug over them, a big rug over within the bedrooms to give them that sort of warm. Oh, I'm not using I needed to use that. This is what Luke told me to do. Here, I'll do this one now. That was probably so boring while I was just talking to camera the whole time. Anyway, I think that's it for me though. That is it. I have an hour left until I need to catch the train back to London. I'm going to do a little bit more filming for our Mapperton Live channel. Be sure to check out our sister channel, American Viscountess. And also, I've launched a brand new channel called Julie in Italy. I know I'm a bit mad. Julie in Italy, and that is based around just my little Italian house there, because it was very popular, that series or that playlist on American Viscountess. So I'm going to continue to put some videos out on American Viscountess, but eventually everything's going to be shifted towards Julie in Italy, which is very exciting as well. I think that's it. All right, yes. Wow. Anyway, comment down below if you have any questions. Let me know what you think about the timber floors. Have I made the right decision on the farmhouse? I think that I have, definitely. And yeah, and let me know what you think of these baseball caps. Details down below on how to get yourself a baseball cap, and lots more merchandise. And remember, all the merchandise that is bought goes directly back into the estate, and that helps us with all of our many restoration, renovation, repair projects. So everything that comes into Mapperton gets invested back into Mapperton to make sure that we are preserving this for future generations, because this house has been here for 500 years and we want to make sure it's still standing. With all of your help, I'm sure that will happen. Okay, that's it, everybody. Luke said to hit this red button, so hopefully that's going to work. All right, see you guys later. And again, thank you all so much for watching, for being a part of this amazing community. You all are absolutely tremendous.